let's just do it again. And I mean, funny thing that happened was I was acting in another film, and the director of photography was shooting just stills on the set to look at his lighting using this small Canon 5D. We started to talk about it, and he told me people are using this camera now for commercials. So I call up my DP, Will Rexer. I say, you know, what do you know about the Canon 5D? He goes, oh, this camera's incredible. I said, can we make a film with it? He goes, I don't know, you know, maybe. We got on the subway. We're down in Tribeca, both of us. Took the train up to 34th Street to B&H Photo. Bought the camera for $2,800. I called up my buddy who owns a gym, and I said, hey, can we come by the gym to just do a test shot? He said, sure. I threw a sweatsuit on. I took one of those cheap audio packs, put that on, and that scene ended up in the movie. Me calling Caitlin, I'm calling Caitlin, and she's giving me the news that my sister Linda has shown up. That scene was shot the day we bought the camera, with no lights, no sound man, just a one-man crew, and it ends up in the movie. So after we shot that, we go to the editing room, which we don't use an editing room anymore. It's, you know, it's my office and a computer, and you cut on Final Cut. We threw the flash card into the drive, looked at the footage on the computer, and said, oh my God, this looks fantastic. Let's start shooting. Called up Max and said, hey, we're going to shoot the first scene tomorrow. And that's kind of how it went. And we shot this film, I think it was 12, 13 days. We shot that scene before Thanksgiving, and we shot our last scene mid-March. So, because, you know, you work around, you know, everybody's schedules, and you're trying to get free locations, so that you would work, you know, 2 days one week and have 2 weeks off, and then work 3 days that week, and then have a month off. But the great thing that then does for you as a filmmaker is, you know, rather than, normally when you make a film, and let's say that guy with the stripper had given me several $1 million to make that film, that movie gets put into escrow and you need to start spending immediately. So the nature of shooting a film is you show up on day one, and there's a guy from the studio or the bond company or the financier behind you basically saying, are you going to make the day? You know, are you going to make the day? You got to move on. You got to move on. So every day it's a mad rush to finish the work. Working this way, you know, we can say, all right, we're going to try and shoot these 5 scenes. If we decide we're just having a fun time with this scene and something that these guys improvised inspired another scene, like we ended up shooting a scene that day that wasn't in the script with me and you at the bar, and it ended up not making the finished film. But then what you're able to do is I can shoot for 3 days, and then I spend 3 weeks in the editing room with that material. And I can see this character that Marcia's creating, and then start rewriting the scenes we haven't shot yet to sort of bring a little bit more of that to the screenplay. And I keep trying to, you know, I go to a lot of film schools all the time and talk to kids, and you know, the interesting thing about working that way is I keep equating it to like you know, maybe a painter. You get to, you know, you do that first, what would you call it, first draft? The first wash? You do your first wash, and then you can sit in the studio for 3 weeks and decide what's next. And you know, filmmakers have never been afforded that kind of creative sort of freedom and room to let the thing breathe. You know, a filmmaker, a friend of mine, I was telling him this story, and he said it's an interesting thing. You know, normally when you're in the editing room, you're screaming at your movie. You know, your script is one thing, and then production is another. And then what's happening in the editing room is another. You're always yelling at your film in the editing room, trying to tell it that it's the screenplay. And this is more you're listening to your movie, because in most times it is not, you know, it is not the same thing that you thought you were making, for any number of reasons.
All right, so I want to open it up to